Hello, hello, hello. I want to talk to you guys about something that keeps coming up, and I've been meaning to do a little video clip on it, but just hadn't gotten around to it, so I'm going to do it now. As we know, I'm dealing with bones and nerves and all things energetic, and so I have a pretty good feel on the pulse of what's going on out there in the world. Many years ago when I was in chiropractic school, I actually did a thesis paper on the effects of artificial sweetener. And, you know, long story short, what happened, obviously, anybody who follows me knows my story, you know, car crash, broke the neck, the whole 9 yards. So I have a lot of neurological damage. Well, this was back in the early 90s, and much to my absolute delight, being a 20-something who was trying to be figure conscious and all, but who also loved Dr. Pepper, Diet Dr. Pepper came out. And so I started drinking it because, you know, it was like the next greatest thing, and it was sugar-free and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, you know how this is going. So what was really interesting is one of the things that I have is trigeminal neuralgia. Sometimes it's called a suicide headache, or I get debilitating nerve pain in my face all along the tracks of the fifth cranial nerve called the trigeminal nerve. And so one of the things that I discovered was that when, I don't know when that came out, maybe my first or second year of school, whatever, when I really started hitting the Diet Dr. Pepper hard, was all of a sudden something that I'd gotten kind of under control with the neuralgia through getting adjusted and you know, trying to eat a non-inflammatory diet, meditation, exercise, whatever. I was doing well. And then all of a sudden, the symptoms of the trigeminal neuralgia came back with a screaming vengeance. And I was like, what is going on? And so I began to realize that the artificial sweetener that was in that Diet Dr. Pepper was acting as a toxin. It was a neurotoxin. And so when I started taking that in, this was back in the day when they were making everything like fat-free and low-fat and sugar-free gum and all this kind of stuff. And so everybody was doing it. So I ended up doing this research paper on it and realizing, holy cow, the effects of artificial sweetener, particularly like, remember the Gulf War guys, the amount of soldiers who came back with Gulf War sickness, and like Coke had sent a load of crates of Diet Coke into the desert. They hit a certain temperature and these guys are getting sick. Like, it's well-known stuff now, but back then it was like nobody was putting two and two together. So something really interesting is happening here in Ireland, and I just want to talk to you about it so that you're aware. It's not a judgment. I don't give a shit what you do with your personal life. I'm just sharing some information. I am seeing a massive increase in people coming in here who are having these very strange neurological symptoms. Numbness all of a sudden, tingling, pins and needles, things that previously weren't there. Well, one thing that has happened is if you're here, if you're Irish, you know that during the course of the pandemic, we had a sugar tax implemented. Sounds like back in the days of the old Boston Tea Party. But yeah, so we got a sugar tax. So it means that anybody who was drinking a soft drink, like a Coke or a Pepsi or whatever, this little thing would come up, and you know, I don't remember, for some reason 42 cents comes to mind. I can't remember what the actual tax is. But so for the privilege of having a sugar-fied drink, there is a sugar tax added. So what did most people do? They're like, oh no, give me the sugar-free one, right? You know where this is going. So what I have noticed over time is that I'm getting a huge increase in these neurological disorders, and people are getting numbness and tingling. They're getting foggy, you know, just all sorts of pain for no explicable reason. And so I was at the cinema the other day, and I really noticed this because it was like somebody walked up who was in front of me, and they ordered a Coke. And what they got was a Coke Zero. Now they're not even asking. They're not saying anything. You have to specify whether you want the Coke that actually has the sugar in it, or you're going to be given the one that's sugar-free. So what is happening is this is being normalized. It's the same now, like if, you know, going into Burger King and they ask you, do you want a normal burger or one with meat? Yeah, so pay attention to what's happening. So what's happening with people, and one of the major side effects of artificial sweeteners is it tricks the body into thinking that it has had its allotted amount of caloric intake for the day. And so you don't really see skinny people drinking diet drinks. Yeah. Somebody's going to say something about that. That's not what I'm here for. I'm not here for that argument, not playing in that circus. I'm just telling you, this is something that we see. And what happens is it becomes addictive. It also becomes something that people think psychologically they're doing to benefit their health, when in actual fact, it's doing the exact opposite. It's exacerbating neurological symptoms, disorders, aches, pains that they have. I'm just seeing a huge increase in it. So when I was standing in the cinema and I was like, I just literally watched that guy order a Coke, and he was given a Coke Zero, which is a different product. And it's a product that happens to be sugar-free. So pay attention in your own life. That's the only reason I'm talking about this, and see what's happening when you go out. Because the amount of people who would pay, wouldn't pay the tax on the drink that's got the sugar in it, you know, whether you're drinking that or not, I don't care. Like I said, I'm not here to judge that. You know, there's the odd day where I would love a Dr. Pepper and all the fizziness and wonderfulness that comes with it, knowing that it's full of sugar and it's very bad for me. But I'd take that over one that was a diet that didn't have it and had artificial sweetener, I can tell you that. But so what I'm noticing is that as this behavior has become normalized and people aren't questioning the fact that they're ordering one thing and being handed something else that has a phenylalanine in it, which we know is a cancer-causing agent, which we know is found in artificial sweeteners like NutraSweet, sucralose, aspartame. That is what we know for certain, you know, so that's been heavily researched. But it's that same kind of thing. Like, people are going to do what they're going to do. It's like, you know, if you know that smoking is bad for you, but you're a smoker, you do it anyway, knowing that it's not good for you. If you know that drinking too much alcohol is bad for you and you go ahead and do it anyway, you're consciously making a choice. We all have that choice, and that's what being human is about. I'm only sharing information in an area that some people might not be aware of, because it happens to be an area of expertise for me because I lived it. So I am just seeing a real pickup in neurological disorders and strange symptoms from people who I will straight away ask. I'm like, are you taking in anything that has an artificial sweetener in it? And they'll be like, huh? And I'm like, do you drink a diet drink? Do you take, you know, a fat-free yogurt or a fat-free anything? Oh, yeah, you know that. And they don't realize that it's coming in so many, toothpaste, mouthwash, it's coming in so many different areas, and it's having a dulling effect on the body. It is compromising their nervous system, and it's creating some neurological problems. So now I'm sharing that with you so you can make a better and informed choice if this is something that you've noticed in your own life. The next time, if you happen to order a soft drink, or if you're out in a club and you're getting a Coke with whatever your you know, chosen drink is or whatever, notice what you're being handed. Notice if you're being charged the sugar tax, and notice if you're being handed a drink with an artificial sweetener in it. The sugar tax was to deter people from going for the sugary drink so that they would readily accept, because we're in a complete state of conditioning at the moment, and we just are. But so that people would readily accept something that had an artificial sweetener in it. And we know for a fact that the artificial sweetener, taken in certain doses, acts as a neurotoxin in the body. So that's my little tidbit on artificial sweeteners today. So yeah, go have a look in your own life and see if anything like this applies to you. My incidence of facial neuralgia and TMJ and neurological issues from here up have increased 100-fold. And always at the bottom of that, and they're like, yeah, I do drink that or whatever, and I'm like, and it's something they do every day, and like, it's hitting them hard. And so I just want you guys to be aware. So love ya, mean it.